Hello, this is Myra Elaine on the Buying Space Channel. Today I'm talking about the 20th day of Advent. And yesterday my phone went dead and because of some unusual circumstances in the house. Marty had a music lesson on a keyboard. The keyboard was plugged in. My cell phone charger was unplugged. And so that's what caused the mayhem of yesterday. And I'm sorry. It's getting near the holidays, and we all have a lot of stress and mayhem in our lives. But today, since it's Friday, I wanted to talk about feasting. One of my viewers reminded me of feasting. Actually, she's a cook. Her name's Betty. She's from pre-retirement days. And typically on Fridays, Catholics eat fish. And Italian Catholics during Advent have this like 7 different species fish dish that they make. Oh my gosh, I just got really hungry when I said that. But it's got lobster and oyster and clams and shrimp and cod and all kinds of, and it varies from family to family, from probably town to town, what kind of fish they use. Oh my gosh, I just got seriously hungry. Anyway, yesterday, in addition to on the other days eating pretty much everything here except for the humans, it was pretty much fair game if it was not Homo sapien. But goose and beef, pork, just everything. And they would cook huge dinners. But on Fridays, and sometimes Wednesdays, Fridays and Saturdays, they would fast, kind of, sort of. I looked at some videos, and I'm going to post a video link in my community page about one Italian lady and what she does for her 7 fish dish on the Friday before Christmas. So anyway, because that's become a big tradition in some families. Not mine. I'd never heard of it till this week, I'll be honest with you. But the rest of the time, they had big feasts every night of Advent, or every night that they could. But they ate very rich foods. There were probably a lot more heart attacks in late December, early January back in the day. And I don't know if they figured out why, because they were eating all those fatty foods and, really unhealthy, rich foods during Advent. And then the 12 days of Christmas, it was worse. They added the pies and the cakes and the sweets. And not that they didn't do pie, cakes, and sweets during Advent, but, they did more of them starting Christmas Day to Epiphany. So it was amazing anybody was alive by Valentine's Day. But anyway, yesterday I was talking about finding Santa Claus in the Bible, and there's no Santa Claus in the Bible, and other things that aren't in the Bible. So my segue that got cut off because my video got cut off was I was going to read everything that is literally in the Bible. December 25th is not in the Bible. Santa Claus is not in the Bible. The Christmas tree is not in the Bible. So we're going to focus on what's actually in the Bible about Christmas, about the birth of Christ. So I'm in Matthew chapter 1. Matthew is the first book of the 4 Gospels about the life of Christ, and the first book in the New Testament. So we're going to chapter 1, the first 17 verses are about the generations from David to Joseph. So Matthew focuses on Joseph's point of view. So we start in verse 18. Now the birth of Jesus Christ was as follows. After his mother Mary was betrothed to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Spirit. Then Joseph, her husband, being a just man, was not wanting to make a public example and minded to put her away secretly. But while he thought about these things, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid. Take to you Mary, your wife, for which you is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit, and she will bring forth a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins. So all was done that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the Lord through the prophet, saying, Behold, the virgin shall be with child and bear a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which is translated God with us. So this is from Isaiah. Let me see if I could tell which footnote it's from. I'll look that up later. Hold on. Then Joseph, being aroused from sleep, did as the angel of the Lord commanded him, and took him his wife, and they did not know her until she had brought forth her firstborn son, and he called his name Jesus, just like the angel had commanded him. Let me see if there's a footnote down here. Isaiah 7:4 is where that's from. This direct quote from Isaiah, because the book of Isaiah is like the fifth gospel. Yes, I know it's not a gospel. Yes, I know it's in the Old Testament, not the New Testament, but Isaiah talks so much about Jesus. I mean, it's just astounding. And I'm so happy that I'm a Christian that's embraced the Old Testament. I grew up in a culture that the Old Testament wasn't used all that much. I did do, when I was a junior church leader, when I was 12 to 15, I taught junior church in my local Baptist church. And I did this series with the children on the tabernacle. And I had felt cloth board and pieces. And, I just really enjoyed that lesson series. And that's been decades ago. And I still remember how much I enjoyed that. Now, I don't remember the lessons themselves, but I had a good time. Now, I owe an apology to all the Muslims out there. And I'll tell you why. I thought the Muslims didn't believe Mary was a virgin. And they do. And they have a book or a chapter in the Quran about Mary. And they revere Jesus Christ as a prophet. And they believe in the virgin birth. I thought they didn't believe in the virgin birth, but they do. And it astounds me that I know people who go around calling themselves Christian. Of course, I don't judge. It's up to God to determine their salvation, not me. But they don't believe in the virgin birth. And I find it wild that there are Muslims that accept the virginity, the chastity of Mary, and they're Christians that don't. So I just find that kind of wild as a point of faith. But if I can ever get a copy of the Quran, I'll read that maybe next year. But I apologize to my Muslim listeners, if I have any, uh, they probably have all left by now because I've said that they didn't believe in the virgin birth. And I've probably said some other incorrect things as far as the Muslim or Islamic faith. And my apologies. I am on a journey, I am learning. Someone came in on one of my lives one time and said to me, "Do you read the Quran?" And I'm like, "No, but if you want to send me one, I'll be happy to." So we are on the 20th day of Advent, and it's the 19th of December. And Advent this year started November 30th. Now, next year, I think no matter when Advent technically starts, because it's 4 Sundays back from the closest Sunday to Christmas, I think I will do December 1st is the first day, no matter what the liturgical calendar tells me, because it's been a little awkward in reading things because everything's referenced to the 20th day of Christmas being on December 20th. But the way I did it this year, it was different. So I'm going to go ahead and open the Nativity Advent Calendar pocket. I guess these are called pockets. That's another thing. Is there a special word for the punch out for each day? Okay. Oh, this one, I haven't had one of these for a while. This one's wrapped in cellophane. It's like, I should have counted how many were wrapped in cellophane. Well, dexterity. Myra struggles with matter this morning. Okay, here we go. Oh, it's baby Jesus. I found baby Jesus. Now I got to tell you a funny story. I have a nativity set outside, and I had Marty look for Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, and they weren't out there. And I thought somebody had stolen baby Jesus. So within an hour, before I had time to, look at anything else, I was in my life group. And I told everybody somebody stole my baby Jesus. Well, here we go. Get a good look at this holy calendar. Holy calendar, get it? Anyway, so I told everybody, including my pastor, my baby Jesus had been stolen. And then later in the lesson, we started talking about there's Jesus, Mary and Joseph, and the manger, and all these animals. But we talked about the wise men weren't there, during the nativity. They came later. They saw the star when Jesus was born, but they came later. And so later in the conversation in the life group, I said, I wish they had stolen the wise men because I don't need them at Christmas. It's basically what I was saying. And it was interpreted that way. But later on, my pastor was looking for replacing my baby Jesus. But after that, I found Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. And what happened is last year, I put the big nativity scene up here, and I put the wise men up here to talk about Epiphany. And I put Jesus and Mary and Joseph on a shelf over here. And I didn't, when I took the nativity and the wise men and everything back out to the porch, I did not take them. I left them on the shelf and I had forgotten about it. So anyway, I texted my pastor and I said, I found Jesus. And I sent a picture. Well, she missed that because, she's got 4 special services during the holidays. Who wouldn't have missed it? But later she sent me a picture of a large Jesus that they found on a shelf over there. And at first I said no because it would be the Nephilim. I mean, the Jesus she has at the church is 14 inches long. It's bigger than my nativity box set that's out on the porch. This wood and really nice. But so I told her no at first, and then Marty said, "Oh, I'd like to have it." And I said, "Well, we could put it in the front lawn and see if anybody steals it." Because nativity sets, people, if they're going to steal from them, they typically steal Jesus. And baby Jesus is so popular. So we're going to try to get it now. And I hope we end up with it. If we don't end up with it, that's fine because I initially told her no. And that day she had a million decisions to make. So baby Jesus might already be gone. But the one that she was talking about. So, but I told her there's a Nephilim Jesus because the creatures that were bred with the angels, when the angels came and slept with human women, they became giants. And I don't mean that they were accomplished in this life. I mean that they were like 50 feet tall. So I joked about, if I put that baby Jesus in front of my nativity that I've got outside right now that I'll bring in for Christmas, that would be a huge Jesus. I mean, you want to talk about the chicken and the rooster being bigger than the cows because it's not to scale, that's another thing. But I'm glad I'm trying to put the tallest animals further away. Now we have baby Jesus and Mary and Joseph, who was a good man who stood by Mary's side. He had to have loved her. Sometimes people ask that because back then marriages were arranged and they probably were betrothed to each other before, um, very early in life, like toddlers. Um, you know, they were probably betrothed their whole lives or almost their entire lives. And Joseph, did the right thing. Any other man would absolutely, positively had said, no, I'm not marrying this woman. She's pregnant and it wasn't me, Definitely men do that all the time. It's very rare a man will stay with a woman if she's conceived another man's child, especially if they're betrothed or in a relationship, and I don't blame them. But in this case, Mary was a virgin. Her child was of the Holy Spirit, just like it says in Matthew. And baby Jesus had a stable home, a male role model, as Joseph as a stepfather. And so it begins, the life of Jesus. You all have a wonderful and blessed day.